Where's your baby at right now?
She's with a friend.
Where's that?
In Juarez.
In Juarez? Okay. Who's your friend in Juarez?
Her name's Maria.
Maria. If you don't mind, I'm just going to talk to you guys individually real quick, and then I'm going to talk to both of you quick. So can you just hang out with him for a minute? Sure. And can I talk to you over here?
In early 2023, in the state of New Mexico, USA, the family of a young woman named Brianna Stallings began to feel that something was wrong. Months had passed, and no one had seen her baby daughter anymore.
We were concerned about my cousin. Her name is Brianna Stallings, and we've never seen her with her baby anymore. She blocked us all on social media and everything. She's with a guy named Manny Guillen.
Every time she was questioned, Brianna Stallings gave a different answer. Sometimes she claimed the baby was staying with relatives. Other times she said her daughter was being cared for by a friend. But strangely, no one had ever met this friend. There were no photos, no address, no phone number, not a single trace proving this person even existed. At first, police believed this was simply a missing child case, until Brianna Stallings and her boyfriend, Manny Guillen, led investigators deep into a remote forest behind the trailer where they had been living. Hidden among bushes and piles of rocks was the body of a little girl. The child had been buried there for nearly a year. But what haunted investigators the most was not just the way she died. It was the fact that these two people had gone back to living their normal lives as if nothing had ever happened. So what really happened inside that bedroom that night? And who was truly responsible for the child's death? The little girl's name was Kalani Sue Moreno, a baby who had not yet learned to speak, had not yet learned to walk, and had barely even begun the first months of her life. Kalani almost never had the chance to grow up like a normal child. No first birthday, no childhood memories. No one could have imagined that her life would end in a remote forest buried beneath the ground for nearly a year.
Yeah, but that was over there.
That was over there. Okay, I can share with it. That's because that's where that was.
Okay.
She can start with it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's kind of like touching your shoulders.
Right there.
And I feel,
Please lead over office. Okay.
Okay.
You want to hang out in the shade over the roof like that? Thank you.
yes.
Here's a she's one.
Yes. Should I place it?
Brianna Stallings, Kalani's mother, was around 24 years old. According to relatives, Brianna lived a fairly unstable life. She frequently argued with her family, moved from place to place constantly, and nearly cut off contact with many relatives after getting involved with a new boyfriend. People who had helped raise Brianna described her as someone who was emotionally vulnerable, mentally unstable, and especially dependent on her romantic partners. But what hurt people the most was that before everything happened, Brianna had once been genuinely happy about her pregnancy. Her family said she used to call them excitedly to show ultrasound photos, talked about wanting to turn her life around and wanting to become a good mother. No one could have imagined that less than a year later, she would become part of a case that shocked and outraged the entire community.
The man beside Brianna Stallings at the time was Manny Guillen, a former U.S. Marine. On the surface, Manny seemed calm and quiet, but according to many people who knew him, he was hot-tempered, quick to lose control, and extremely irritated by the sound of crying children. Even more disturbing, Manny reportedly had a history of violence and had already lost custody of his own child. Some of Brianna's relatives said they always felt uneasy watching the way Manny controlled her. He would often interrupt whenever Brianna spoke with her family and gradually pushed her away from everyone who once cared about her. And then, when Kalani Sue Moreno disappeared, the name Manny Guillen quickly became the center of the entire investigation. After meeting Manny Guillen, Brianna Stallings' life began to change completely. She gradually cut off contact with her family, replied to messages less and less, and almost disappeared from the people who had once been close to her. The phone calls checking on her became increasingly rare, until many family members only knew how she was doing through a few short text messages. During that time, Brianna and Manny lived an extremely unstable life. They constantly moved from place to place, sometimes sleeping in Manny's family trailer, sometimes staying with acquaintances, and sometimes disappearing for weeks without anyone knowing where they were. Despite the chaos of her life, Brianna's family still tried to help her because they believed she was struggling to raise a baby. Brianna's brother regularly sent money to help buy formula, diapers, and baby supplies. Every week, he would ask if he could see his little niece at least once.
Susan, man.
I'm Detective Johnson, man.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. Hey, so we just talked to your mom.
Nobody's in trouble.
Yeah, no,
But see, I have no idea why the family contacted you guys. I told her to call me if she had any questions, that I would give her any information that I had, and I did that.
Called who?
Is
Is it Brianna or her family member?
her
or
aunt.
Okay.
I got the messages right here.
And have you talked to Brianna or Manuel at all, or?
I talked to Brianna maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Have you seen her? Did she have her baby with her? Or?
I have not seen the baby since. It's been a couple of months now, probably like 3, maybe more. I was wondering too. I was like, I haven't seen her in a while. Is she okay? And she had told me that one of her aunts was taking care of her.
No, I got you.
But the strange thing was, no one had actually seen the baby after the first few months following her birth. The family began to realize something was wrong because Brianna Stallings almost never posted photos of her daughter, no videos, no FaceTime calls. She never allowed anyone to visit, and she always avoided questions whenever someone asked about the baby. Sometimes she claimed the child was sleeping. Other times, she said the baby was staying with relatives. Then later, she would change the story yet again. As time went on, her explanations became harder and harder to believe. One of Brianna's aunts later said painfully, every time they got money, they disappeared again. No one realized that. During the entire time, the family still believed the baby was alive. The horrifying truth may have already been buried somewhere in the cold forest behind Manny's trailer long before anyone knew. According to Manny's later confession to police, on the night of the incident, both of them were in the bedroom with the baby. Kalani Sue Moreno was only a few months old at the time, a child far too young to defend herself, not even able to fully hold her own head up yet. That night, the baby kept crying. The crying echoed through the cramped space of the small bedroom, and Manny Guillen began to lose patience. According to investigative records, he said he had snapped because he could not make the baby stop crying. Then, in just a few seconds of lost control, everything crossed the line. Manny stated that he violently pulled the baby's leg, then sat on her body to force her to stop crying. This was no longer a simple impulsive act. It was the moment a completely helpless infant was fatally harmed by the very adults around her. Only minutes later, the room fell into an unnatural silence. Kalani was no longer crying because she had stopped breathing.
According to their statements, when they realized the baby was unresponsive, both Manny Guillen and Brianna Stallings began to panic. They tried to perform CPR. They tried to wake the baby, but it was already too late. At first, Brianna reportedly wanted to call emergency services. That was the one moment when everything still might have been saved. If that call had been made, the truth might have come out that very night. But Manny stopped her. According to his own statement, "We panicked." And instead of calling the police, instead of taking the child to a hospital, the two of them made a decision that turned the entire case into something even more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. They decided to hide the body of their own child.